Hello and welcome to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com.
Precision Hydration offer electrolyte drinks in different strengths to match how you sweat. Personalise your hydration strategy today at precisionhydration.com and get a free box or tube of pH worth up to $9.99 using the code Oxygenaddict.
We're also brought to you by foodsell.co.uk.
The next generation of top tube nutritional carriers for your bike, designed to allow endurance triathletes and cyclists to carry enough food and gels while allowing easy access. Use the code FREEPOST for free delivery worldwide. Check it out at foodsell.co.uk.
All right, everyone, welcome to the show. I am just back. You can probably hear in my voice, Hells. My voice is shredded after being at the Outlaw Nottingham half this weekend, helping out with the race briefings. So if I start coughing I'm going to apologise now in advance.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, Rob.
I know.
I can hear it. I mean, I can hear that you've been talking a lot, which is why it's great to be recording the podcast first thing on the Monday, just so then you've totally given your voice enough rest.
It's good, man. It was a great weekend. It was dead nice to be at the briefings and help out with sort of some of the coachy things. We can help people with their pre-race nervousness, but also it was really nice meeting loads of people who were listeners to the show. We had loads of people come up afterwards and say, "Oh, hello, how are you?" So thanks very much if you came over and said hello. It was dead nice to meet you. Had a great weekend away. How about you?
Panic training in full swing, Rob.
So you've got a marathon next weekend, haven't you? What could possibly go wrong, Kels?
Well, I have now done, 20 odd K in trail running shoes. So excellent. I'm ready. Ready. Where's
your trail run? Where's it going to be?
Down in Devon.
Nice.
It's a women-only marathon, nice and hilly. So yesterday I went to Lyme Park, which is on the edge of the Peak District, and parked at the bottom of a hill, ran up a couple of K into Lyme Park, did a little bit of a run around Lyme Park, then did a National Trust free 10K trail run. It was amazing. They don't even time it.
Aren't they? Yeah.
They put flags out and stuff once a month. I had never done it, but absolutely loved it. And then, ran back down to my car to sort of cool down.
Real.
It's good. And then the day before we had done, we rode up to the Roaches, which again was pretty much, it felt uphill for 2 hours and then had a big fat piece of cake. And then, went back round and came back down. So I'm honestly, Rob, panic training sorted.
You're ready. Good. You got a marathon in your legs already. You'll be right.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping.
It's funny, isn't it, how our brains always default to thinking panic anyway, even though, objectively, you've got a marathon in your legs. There's always some little thing about, oh yeah, but I haven't done hills or whatever, that always seems to get us.
Oh, massively. And also thinking I haven't, after London, I didn't run for 2 weeks at all, so completely 2 weeks off running.
And your brain goes, I'm not really sure whether I'm in. I met so many people this weekend who, when you said, how are you and how are you looking forward to, well, I'm not really in great shape. I don't really know about, nobody manages to find the positives. Even talk to the guy who finished second behind Will Clark, who again was like this, I'm not really sure how this is going to go, and has an absolute blinder and finishes second. So if even Donald Brooks gets these worries, then it's natural for all of us for sure.
It's those little voices, isn't it? Yeah. But no, honestly, I feel ready, and it was just great to be back out trail running. Loved it.
Love it. Good. Hey, all right. Well, listen, let's leap right in because we've got loads of chat about the Outlaw and other races that happen this weekend. So we'll kick off with a thank you for our sponsors, Foodsell. Foodsell make this super cool top tube nutritional carrier with a little slidey top that means you can get stuff into it and out of it with one hand. It's brilliant. You can get 4 of those big fat gels or massive pieces of flapjack in, or a spares kit or whatever you like. They were down at the Outlaw Half this weekend, Hells. I had a nice long chat with Mark from Foodsell, and it seemed to be going down really well. There were loads of people in the briefing had bought them, and he was giving away, always good to get a freebie, giving away free Flowcell water bottles with it. So there were loads of people coming into the briefings holding those. And it's dead important, I think, to have something you can actually get stuff into and out of one-handed as you're riding along, because it's great having a top tube carrier, but if you can't get stuff into it and out of it, you're absolutely snookered, aren't you? So, the guys look like they did a good job. It was good to have a chat with him, and good to see loads of people taking advantage and getting them at the promo at Nottingham Half. So let's kick off. First up, Hells, results from the Outlaw Half. It was a beautiful day out in Nottingham. The forecast was a bit dodgy beforehand, and I was thinking, it could be one of those. It was quite chilly the day before in the briefings and stuff, and you were thinking, could be really cold on race morning, but it turned out to be a really beautiful day. And the headline figure was Will Clark had rocked up ahead of, he's going out to race Ironman Brazil this coming weekend. So he turned up to see if he could have a pre-race blowout and take the race record, which he managed to do in quite amazing form, it's got to be said. The record stood at 3:41 by Mark Threlfall, so not a soft target at all. Will, however, took it out with a 3:51. Now get this for splits. He swam a 25, which was, I think, 2.5 or even 3 minutes slower than Mark had swum when he set the record. So immediately people around me were saying, that's it, the record's gone. He's got no chance of getting it now. He goes out onto the bike and he rides 2:0. Have I got the results up here? 2:06:30, I think he rode on the bike. Wow. 2:07:30, which, to put it in perspective, Matt Bottrill was there in a team race going flat out in good shape, and he rode 2:06 flat. So he's only a minute and a half down on the UK's best time trialist. And then he closed it with a 1:16 run, and he said, I was just doing enough to take the record. Just really cruised it. And because I was really concerned, I'm like, dude, you're racing Brazil next weekend.
Yeah.
Is this a wise thing? And he's like, he honestly looked like he was jogging around the run. He is in such unbelievable shape. And obviously he's coached by Matt Bottrill. So Matt was saying afterwards, he doesn't know what good shape he's in. He went out to Texas. He had that amazing bike split and run. And I think he kind of freaked himself out and thought, I've gone too hard on the bike. I don't know whether I can do this. This kind of reinforces what amazing shape he's in. So
oh my God.
I'm afraid to think what might happen out in Brazil.
That is amazing. Rob, just a slight sort of slip of the tongue. I think you said Threlfall's previous record was 3:41.
3:54, that's what I meant to say.
3:56 was
3:56, was it?
Yes, 3:56 was Threlfall's, the previous course record.
There we go. Thanks for correcting that for me.
No. That's or else 3:41 would have been.
Yes, it would have been super. I mean, even 3:56.
Exactly.
It's a fast bike course, but it's not like super smooth tarmac the whole way around. So
no.
Even at those, I was chatting to Matt Bottrill at the finish, who coached Mark when he set the record, and Mark texted him straight after the race and was like, "Is the course a bit short this year?" That's like, no, Will's just in amazing shape.
And he's flying out today, I think, isn't he, to Brazil?
He's off out to Brazil today, so he's got a nice week of recovery before that. And then in second place, there was a super close race probably the next 4 or 5 places came in really close. But as I said, Donald Brooks from the Talk team, he came in second in 4:08. And then Edward Castro, who'd led out the swim in front of Will, actually. He's an ex-international swimmer and former age group world champion. He came in about 30 seconds behind Donald Brooks to round out the podium. There was some really great racing there on the men's side. Over on the ladies, have you got the ladies' results up there, or do you want me to do it?
No, I've got it here. So
good.
Claire Weller had a comfortable win, didn't she? 4:38.
She steamed through. Yeah, she was so fast. I didn't even see her come through. Actually, I thought Bex Remington was leading it, but she was quite a bit down off the swim, and then I think she was a solid 5 minutes ahead of any other female on the bike, and then closed it with a 1:33 run, so she looks super smooth on the run. Yeah.
And then, Bex Remington was second in 4:42, and then Naomi Kira Wright was third in 4:46.
Some of the bits and bobs to mention, Lucy Gossage was there doing the bike leg as part of a relay with her sister. Her sister was on the run, so Lucy smoked the bike course. And as always, came zooming by. I went out on the bike and gave some people a cheer on, and she just came rocketing by with a big old grin on her face. So she did a Q&A for the athletes before one of the briefings, which was ace to hear what she's up to. And she's just loving life. She's going out and doing races for fun, and she's still obviously in amazing shape. And if anything, it sounds like going back to work as an oncologist has given her even more, like, sort of focus and reason for doing things. So yeah, good to see her in super, super good shape as well. One other cool thing I saw at the Expo Hells, there was a sun cream company called Peloton, and they had a camera set up, right? This sounds really daft, but when you saw it happen, they had a camera set up with a UV filter on that took a photograph of your face that firstly made you look super old.
Yeah.
So it's pretty horrible. But it showed all the bits of sun damage on your face that had happened through years of being out in the sun. It's like, this is what the sun sees when it shines on your face.
Yeah.
And then they put some sun cream on you and showed them what you look like then. So it's amazing to sort of highlight the difference that putting sun cream on. And almost everyone who had this photo were like, oh my God, I need to get some sun cream on, right? Apart from me, I already had sun cream on. So my before photo, aside from looking really old, the guy was like, good on you. You've obviously got sun cream on, even though it's not a sunny day. So I was like, yay.
Oh, honestly, I think as Brits, we are generally pretty bad, aren't we?
Yeah, and a lot of people know I had a nasty thing removed from my arm about a year ago, so I've always been super aware of I try and get sun cream on every day, no matter what the weather's doing these days. And the guy was like, well done. So I got a little pat on the back from the sun cream guy.
Oh. Yeah, that
Nice.
is going to be one of the first things that goes in the is packed, Rob.
For your Devon, yeah.
No, for that as well, but for our cycle trip to Sardinia.
Yeah.
Sun cream.
It's super worth raising for everybody listening that, like at the Outlaw, it's almost dark when you get up, and it can be one of the last things you think about when it's been cold and cloudy the day before. But sure enough, the sun comes out and you're out there for 5 or 6 hours and a half, or even longer when you're out on a full distance. So just get it on the night before when you're getting all your prep done, and then you've got at least a base coat, and then get it on the morning of the race as well. So hopefully, even if you forget to stick it on in T1, you've got a couple of good base coats down there. All right, so a few other races from results from races around the world. Later on today, we've got an interview with Susie Cheetham coming up, and she was racing this weekend at Challenge Lisbon, where she had a good return to racing. She took out third place behind Elisabetta Curidori and Eva Wuti. And then
she managed to tread on glass before the race.
Oh, really? I was looking for information about what had happened. That's horrendous.
Yeah, so she still obviously managed to do it and everything, but yeah, she cut her foot on glass starting the swim. So
horror show.
She's hardcore. So yeah, there's a nice photo of her with basically blood all over her shoe.
Oh no, not fun. Well done, Susie, for getting yourself through that. On the men's race, it was taken up by Rudy Wild, followed by Pablo Gonzalez, and then we had Brits in 3, 4, and 5. We had Sam Wade in third, Tom Davis in fourth, and Luke Pollard. It looked like it was good racing, actually. Some good video clips up on Twitter. Nice fast race down there in Lisbon.
Then we had a 70.3 Barcelona, which had people were saying, as ever, it's sometimes a bit more like a sportive than a half Ironman. And the winners were Bart Arnault of Belgium and Fenella Langridge, who came off her bike last week at 70.3 in France.
Oh,
so to come back,
good effort.
Amazing effort. So yeah, she was amazing there. So Bart Arnault won ahead of David McNamee and then George Goodwin, which is a great result for him.
Yeah, Elliot Smales was in there as well, wasn't he? He was well in with the mix. Finished down in fourth place. Over on the ladies' side, we had a win for Fenella Langridge. She took it out at 4:37, so great to see her coming back from last week. Sarah van der Velde from Belgium in second, and Gabriela Zelinka from Hungary in third. And Sid racing as well, Laura Siddle in fifth place.
Back in the Northern Hemisphere. She is. She's back up to the Northern Hemisphere now for the Northern Hemisphere summer.
I got thrown by you saying northern there, thinking it's Barcelona. It's not that northern, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Compared to New Zealand, it's quite northern.
It definitely is, yeah. All right, we also had WTS Yokohama, and we had some Brits racing, didn't we? There we had Alex Yee finishing fifth place, Tom Bishop in 20th. And
did you see his run? Did you see Yee's run time?
Go on, tell me.
He did I think he did, Rob, I'm sure he did 29. Let me just...
I I was trying to find it as well.
Let me just find it. Yep, 29:58.
Stormer. It's nice to go under the 30, isn't it?
That's just insane. Honestly, he's
Yeah, he's coming and coming
he's
and
going to do well,
through.
lad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Men's race taken out by Vincent Louis ahead of Henry Schumann and Bent Bizak from Hungary. And the women's race was a 1-2-3 for the USA.
Yeah, it was 1-2-3 for the USA. But also, Rob, nice to mention, Georgia Taylor-Brown was fifth in that race as well. And then Jess Lemonts just behind her at sixth and Non-Stanford eighth. So yeah, Zafira's won it. She's still on fire. Summer Rappaport second, and then Taylor Spivey third.
Cool. And then you've just added in, I've seen Ali Brownlee at the ITU World Cup Sprint. Tell me about that, because I've missed that one.
Yeah, so he was in action in Italy along with Sophie Caldwell. So they both took the win. Yeah, he's obviously given the shorter distance, having a go there. He said, "Delighted to win today. Was here just to dip my toe in the water and be competitive." Well,
he's on the way back again.
Wow. Hello, Tokyo. He said to go deep in the last few hundred meters, really happy to mix it up in a short distance race after a little hiatus. # good to be back.
Nice. Good to see.
And then, yeah, Sophie Caldwell as well, in fine form, winning the women's race.
Good stuff. Okay, let's head on over into Coach's Couch. I feel like I've done a few of these this weekend, Hels, talking to athletes before the race.
So Doug Reynolds from Colorado has been in touch, and he says, "I'm looking for guidance on following average power against normalized power, or compared to normalized power. Which should I use when pacing a race? I'm doing Ironman Canada, and there's several very long hills and descents."
Cool. So Doug sent a great email through, and the backstory to this is the last couple of episodes we've talked about, like, look, if you're doing an Ironman, we're going to give you some power guidance around a zone to try and stay in and shoot for. And the question of average power against normalized power is a really important one. So let's start off by just explaining it really simply. Average power is just dead simply the maths that the computer does, and it tells you the average that your legs have put out across the whole event. Normalized power is a bit cleverer. What normalized power is, it takes into account the fact that as you progressively go harder, it has a progressively harder effect on your physiological system. So if you end up riding on a very hilly course, or you come out of a lot of corners and you spike your power a lot, if your power goes up above threshold, that is exponentially more tiring on your legs and your energy system than if you ride at a flat average power. So normalized is some clever maths that the computer does to say, all right then, we're recognizing the fact that there were lots of spikes of power, there were lots of hills where you had to go sort of up above threshold, or maybe even above that. That's going to have an exponentially harder effect on your body than if you just rode level. So to put some maths on it to make it easy, if you went out for an hour's ride and you rode up a hill for half an hour at 200 watts, and then you rode down a hill for an hour at 0 watts, the average power over that hour would be 100 watts. But your body would not feel like it had ridden at an average power of 100 watts because let's say that your threshold is at 200 watts and you've ridden up that hill at threshold for half an hour. You're going to be absolutely goosed after half an hour at threshold, and that half an hour of recovery isn't going to level it out. Whereas riding for an hour at 100 watts at half of your threshold power is literally a recovery ride that will have no effect on you at all. So the normalized power for that ride would come out much, much higher. It would probably come out at like 240 or 250 or something like that, to sort of say to you, look, you've really put out a big effort here, and that's going to, for triathletes, what we're interested in is this going to have a big payback on you on the run later on. So if we're saying to you that our guidance is for you to ride at, say, I said for the slower athletes, 65% across your entire event, that's normalized power that we're talking about. So the key thing here is it's how it feels to your body rather than the actual average number that just the maths is doing. And a good example of this is one of my athletes went out to Mallorca a couple of weeks ago at the 70.3. she hit the number she was looking for exactly in terms of average power, and then she had a really hard time on the run. And when we looked at her power file, her normalized power was 15% above her average power. And so that kind of goes some way. Yeah, heat and wind and stuff play a part of it as well. But it's the normalized power that's the key metric, because that represents how it feels to your body rather than just what the average maths is. So in Doug's case, he's doing a race that's got lots of long hills on where he's going to be riding up for, say, 20 or 30 minutes at a time. What we're looking for Doug to do is really control his power on the uphills, then almost forget about power on the downhills where you're coasting down. And I wouldn't say you're going to stick at your 65% average on the uphills, Doug. That's kind of unreasonable, but give yourself 10% extra on those long uphills. So if your target is 65%, allow yourself to ride at 75% on those long uphills, and that will take account of the fact you're going to have some long periods with zero power in as you're rolling back down afterwards. So I think it represents Hells. It's the power meter is really useful, but it's only really useful if you know how to use it. And the key thing it's there for is holding us back rather than giving us a target to look for. Does that make sense?
Yep. I think it's a long day out, isn't it, on the bike? And so, yeah, definitely sort of being aware of what you're doing.
That's exactly it, yeah. If you just raise awareness of the fact that don't use the power meter as there as another thing to say, I've got to try and push myself to do this, especially over iron distance. It's another thing there to remind you that when you get off the bike, you've got a full marathon to do still. So anything that you can do that can control yourself within some boundaries you've set beforehand is going to be a really key thing for you. So a shout out for Team Oxygenaddict here. If you're looking at getting some coaching, we've got one slot left on our May offer. Our May offer is that if you join as an annual member and sign up for a year's worth of coaching in advance, we're going to extend your membership from now all the way to all the way to September of 2020. So you're getting like almost 4 months extra free. So just drop us a line to help Oxygen Addict and we'll give you all the information you need about that. So there we go. Hopefully that's helped you out, Doug, and let us know how you get on after you've done Ironman Canada later on in the year. Right then, Hells, we've got our interview of the week. It was really great to catch up with Susie Cheetham. Bless her. I sent Susie an email a while ago and she got back in contact and she's like, I'm so sorry, I meant to reply to you. I'd love to come back on the show. So it was really great to catch up with her and hear about what she's been up to over the last year. Susie Cheetham, welcome to the show. It's lovely to have you back on. Finally managed to press record because we've been jabbering away in the background and haven't managed to get any on tape. Right, first up, how on earth are you doing? I was looking back in the archives and it was almost exactly 2 years ago that we last had you on. You were just on your way to go and do Ironman Brazil in 2017.
So I was going to say, I thought you didn't like me anymore. Maybe I did a really bad podcast and you just didn't want me back on the show.
You have a standing invite. We'll have you on monthly, Susie, if you'll come, I tell you.
You definitely wouldn't want that.
Well, it was dead funny because I was listening back to it and it was an interview Helen had done with you and you'd just finished third at South Africa in 2017 and you were about to go to Brazil kind of like for confidence boost. And then you went to Brazil and you won it. So
that feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah. I got a course record actually. I think that will probably be broken quite soon though, to be honest.
You smashed it that day, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was a good race for me. That was a good confidence boost after I just had at that South Africa race. I had a bit of a mechanical, and I didn't want to be the person who tells everyone, they would have gone faster if they hadn't got a mechanical. But I knew I was fit, so I just wanted to go and prove it. So that's what Brazil was for.
Out, did you?
Yeah.
And it was, did you go 8:50 that day? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, just over 8:50, yeah.
It was some scorching bike time and then 3 hours and a few seconds run, wasn't it?
It was actually a miserable day. Like, it was horrible.
It was raining, wasn't it? Yeah.
All day. And I remember like my visor was steaming up and oh God, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was the most enjoyable day, but it was it was a good race for me.
You thought you'd get it over with quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because you look at it and you think, you're racing in Brazil, you'll have this beautiful tropical climate and blue skies, and it ended up looking like, Saturday afternoon time trial on the A19, didn't it? It was
it did.
spray everywhere.
And it was just like, we had these, I can't remember what it was, but I moved accommodation because I was staying in a place, and the water was just because it's on a little island, and like the water was disconnected or something. I can't remember. So we couldn't flush toilets. We didn't have any fresh water. We couldn't wash up like anything. We could, and it
not ideal,
sort of 24 hours after the water went off, it came back on. And then it went off again, and we were like, okay, we can't risk not having water going into the race. So we ended up moving accommodation. Like, I think the day before the race, I was wrapping my bike and moving into new accommodation. So it was a weird one, actually.
Well, I don't really know where to start with this, actually, because you've had some great results, and you've had some results that probably weren't the ones you wanted over the last year. I mean, the last year ended on a real high for you, didn't it? With the sort of the second place and a really strong performance at Ironman Argentina.
Yeah, I think Argentina was probably one of my strongest races to date. Which I was quite happy about after coming off a disappointing Kona, and messing. I was really angry with myself after Kona, because I just, all my own fault, just made a couple of fundamental errors that, to be honest, in the past, if someone had told me that they would do something like that in the biggest race of their year, I would have thought they were an idiot and laughed at them. And then I did it. And so I was just angry with myself, and I just, it would have been a waste not to use that fitness. But at the same time, I'd been racing since January, so it was a bit of a push out my season to December. And that was probably picking myself up from Kona was probably one of the hardest things I've done, because mentally I was just completely drained, and physically I was drained. But yeah, I was happy I did it. And I plan to go back and race that again this year.
Well, like, to put that in context, the year before you'd finished 6th. The year before that, you'd had a DNF because your hamstring went. The year before that, you'd finished 6th. So it seems to be on this cycle of like awesome race in the top 10, something doesn't go right. So maybe this year's another good one in the cycle.
It's a bad one, because in 2021, I'm going to be really scared about what's going to happen.
You might be
it'll be 2019 is a good year, then 2020. Then I'll be due for a bad year at Kona, and I'll be like, oh no, I just hope it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, you might be defending a podium position from the year before by then, so you might, who knows, you might get a bit of the good luck there. So do you mind us asking what happened at Kona that you said, you felt you made some rookie mistakes and things? What actually went down? Because on paper it looked like you had a really solid swim. You were out in about 58 which I assume was like with the second-ish pack that day. Was that?
Yeah, I mean, the swim was fine. It was sort of...
It's just like a mess swim, was it?
The worst thing about Kona is the first year I did it, I had an amazing swim, and I was sort of like, I was straggling off the back of the first pack.
Okay.
But it's down on the first pack by about a minute, and then Jodie Swallow was ahead of that pack by another minute.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like I was really close to the front end of the race, and it was a real shock. And somehow I fluked that swim as a much worse swimmer than I am now. And so every swim at Kona since then has been a bit of a disappointment, but probably more reflective of where I am. So yeah, I mean, it was a fine swim. It wasn't great. The frustrating thing is that it was a really big pack. Like, I think pretty much everyone was in that pack. Like,
yeah.
The pack just went on and on and on. And when I saw some of the women that I'd got out with, I was pretty disappointed, to be honest, because there was women that I should be swimming faster than.
Yeah.
But I was sort of like, when I looked at Thorsten's ratings before the race, I was sort of in no man's land. Like, what he predicted me to swim was behind the first group, but ahead of the second group. And then quite often what happens at Kona is then that sort of person in no man's land just sort of gets swallowed up.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened. So it was a fine swim, nothing that was going to...
It does seem like the pack dynamics... Sorry, I was going to say, it does seem like the pack dynamics and the water conditions there play a big part in how the swim plays out, because it's It is different, isn't it, to other races? The fact you've got swell rolling through at 90 degrees to you, and you know, before you consider the turtles underneath you, I suppose that in itself is unsettling enough, isn't it? But
I know, you just want to stop and have a chat.
Oh, bless you.
I don't think about that at all in the race. Just before anyone thinks that.
Probably for the best, yeah.
So anyway, the swim was fine. But then we had this big pack that I was like, I don't want to be in a pack. You know, when I've done well there, I've sort of ridden my own race. And I ended up just surging so much. Like, my power file is all over the place. And I was pushing, I had a new power meter that I wasn't trusting, just because I've had some issues with it. And, and I don't like the technical side of things, to be honest. And I should have just trusted it, and I was riding too hard and surging too hard. The main thing was the surges in power, and although I've trained for that, it was just too much. And then to add to, because I was cycling with some people that I thought that in past races that year I had sort of cycled away from. So I thought I could, and I was quite confident in my bike going into Kona. So I just surged, and I kept on surging and surging to the front of the pack, and I just sort of burnt too many matches. And it's something that I've just never really done before. I've always been quite sensible, and I just wasn't being sensible at all. And then to add to that, Kona is the one race where I'll take salt tablets. I don't take salt tablets in any other race, and because I don't sweat in any other race that I do as much as I do in Kona.
Yeah.
And I lost them in my bento box early on in the race. And I was like, that's fine. I can do without them. Don't stress. It's not going to be the end of your race. You know, everyone has to deal with something or other doesn't go to your race plan. It's not in Ironman. You have to expect that you're going to have to deal with some setbacks. And so I moved on from that. But then at the end of the race, when I'm starved of oxygen and I'm sort of probably not in the best state to be making rational decisions, I find my salt tabs at the bottom of my bento box, and I just stupidly decided to take like all of them at once.
Oh wow, really?
And which is really dumb. And like, I just, like, in hindsight, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, if someone had told me that I would do that before, I would have just laughed at them. And like, no, I'm not, like, yeah, I'm not a dumb person, and that's what I would say a dumb person would do. Anyway, I did that, and then it just made me feel really nauseous. So a combination of just burning too many matches and being nauseous and just, like you say,
throwing salt on the fire, as it were.
Yeah, just like, I mean, really rookie mistakes and mistakes that you just really shouldn't be making in any race, let alone your biggest race of the year, the one that you prepped like all summer for. Yeah, I don't know.
It does happen though, doesn't it? The excitement and the adrenaline gets to us, and I don't think there's a single athlete on earth who hasn't had that thought at some point in a bike leg that all of a sudden they've got magic legs and they can just push an extra 45 watts than they usually do. Oh, I feel great today.
And it was just like, actually, if you look, when we looked at my power file, like, it's just stupid, because in terms of like average power and normalized power, I'm not getting anything from it. I'm not cycling any more power than I would be otherwise. I'm just doing it in a way that's just going to kill me.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why, yeah, it's a tricky one, because I was in this big pack and I didn't want to be in this big pack, and I didn't want to get a drafting penalty, because it is difficult when you're in that big group and then someone drops off the back, and then suddenly you've dropped from the pack, because the group dynamics are so that if you want to overtake, you have to overtake 10 people in a row. So if you're overtaking 10 people in a row that are all 12 meters apart, you have to go, it's
a surge, isn't it? It's a real extended
25 seconds. Yeah, 25 seconds to overtake each of those one people, but then you've got 120 meters of pushing like you know, like over 300 watts probably.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a big ask, and if you keep on doing that, that's gonna hurt you.
Well, it's interesting that you say this as well, because we heard a really similar story from Joe Skipper, not this year just gone, but the year before, when he basically detonated on the run, and he said, I was determined to not kind of blow my beans on the bike, and I was going to ride with the pack and be sensible, because everyone said I needed to be sensible. But I found I was either doing no watts and rolling right up behind people and braking to try and not get in their draft, or putting out 500 watts.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a tricky one, and I don't know.
What's the dynamic like for someone like you at the World Championships, where I'd imagine at most races that you do, it's you and maybe one or two other athletes who are sort of racing each other on the bike, as it were, and then all of a sudden you get to Kona, you've got the biggest field there, and you've got 30, 40 women who are all very capable on the bike. Do you think that dynamic really makes things more difficult?
For me, I think it personally makes it more difficult. Some people like it because you get an advantage of riding at 12 meters from somebody, which is great. It gives you a few watts for free. But to be honest, I think I'd rather not be in a pack and ride my own watts and not get the benefit of being at 12 meters.
Yeah.
I don't know. In an ideal world, you'd ride at 12 meters and everyone would be sensible about riding steady watts, and that would give you the best outcome. But unless you're riding with a training partner, like I think there was quite a lot of controversy over some of the male pros riding as a team. Yeah. I think you're unlikely to be able to keep the watts as steady as you would like.
What's your opinion on that? The idea of a group of people who know each other kind of getting together before the race and saying, well, this is going to bring the best outcome for all of us. Let's kind of do this legally, but let's definitely have a strategy to it.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I mean, people have been doing it for years. I remember hearing Chris McCormack talk about trying to, when he was trying to beat Craig Alexander, and saying that, or I can't remember if it was that way around or the other way around. I may have my facts. No,
you're right. It was him and Ronnie Shildnick, and
and just trying to make sure it didn't become a runner's race. I think, people playing to their strengths, and to be honest, that's what the racing is about, and it's playing to your strengths. I don't know. I think the problem that people had with last year was the fact that it was at the expense of somebody else's race. So it wasn't just people teaming up so they all did better as a group.
It was more of a domestique arrangement.
Yeah, and a domestique arrangement, it's a tricky one. I'm not sure how I feel about it, because obviously then it's changing the dynamic of the race for somebody that's not benefiting it.
Yeah. It's not breaking the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law feels a bit shaken by that, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, because, I mean, I don't think there's any rule to say that they can't do it, but at the same time, there's people that are having their races affected by something that, it's like, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I haven't had to, I'm strongly opinionated about some things, but that's not.
That's not one of them.
Yeah, that's not one of them.
Well, how do you feel about your swim, bike, and run at the moment? What do you consider your strength to be out of the three of them?
I'd always go back to running, because it's where I feel most comfortable, and it's where I came from. I'd say at the moment I'm not. I'm not fully fit. I had a funny start to the year, because I did Argentina in December, which was racing much later than I had planned to. And then I just really, after such a long season, I needed like a proper break, and I had 4 weeks off, which is probably a little bit more than I would normally have. I planned to have 3 weeks, and then the 4th week came into Christmas, and we were like, you know what, actually, I probably need 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't had a big break in a long, long time, and I'd been racing from January to December. So we thought that's fine. 4 weeks is fine. And then I got back to racing. Sorry, I got back to training in January, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm a little bit unfit. This is going to be fun." And then I was only training for a few weeks, and then I picked up this virus in South Africa.
Okay.
And I thought I just had a cold, so I took 3 days off. And then on the Monday, I got back to trained for 5 days. And then on the Friday, I just remember I could barely, like, I got out and I went for a run, and I just felt like so weak and terrible. And then I got dressed. I think I swam, and I was pathetic. I couldn't do anything. And then I got dressed to go for my bike, and I remember sitting on the bed. I think I was speaking to Matt or Rob, just saying that I was just completely like useless. And they were in the UK and talked me out of going for the ride. I think I was sat in my bike kit feeling sorry for myself for the next like 2 hours anyway. And then and Saturday came, and I was like, okay, it's fine. I had yesterday afternoon off. I can go for my long ride. And I sat in my bike kit, couldn't do anything. I just sat there waiting to go out, and I just couldn't. And again, got talked out of going out for my ride. And then from that, I had to have like, I think, another 2 weeks off. Just couldn't do anything. Ended up coming back to the UK. I had some blood tests, and it showed there was like, I don't know what it was, but there was definitely an infection there, and it showed sort of inflammation, and my white blood cell count was up and stuff. And
yeah,
I mean, I think sometimes you don't need to know what it is, but sometimes it was nice to have justification that there was actually something wrong, and it wasn't just my imagination. And because by this time, sort of the cold symptoms had gone, but I just felt really tired.
Yeah.
And then I just really struggled for it was the best part of 10 weeks, almost 3 months of just really just not being able to train properly. And then towards the back end, I went out to Mallorca for a Hoka camp, and did that. And then on the Sunday we finished early, and I thought, oh great, I'll go for a nice long ride. Did some efforts, and I felt amazing. And I remember like messaging Rob and Matt and being like, oh, I'm back, felt amazing, had such a good ride, it's brilliant. And then I went to stay with Caroline and Mark Leasley for like another few days, so I could make this sort of effectively this work trip into a bit of a training block. And I was just flattened from that one ride. It was a 4-hour ride with some efforts, and I think I was flattened for 3 or 4 days, and I ended up coming home early.
Oh no.
So yeah, it's I've never had anything like this. And it was really hard mentally, like really fatiguing, because I just didn't know what it was and when it was gonna just bugger off.
Yeah.
and eventually it just started coming right. And I've been training for a little while now, and I'm jealous of everyone racing. So I'm racing next weekend, and we'll see how it goes. And, there's some things I'm just excited to just get to a start line without knowing that I'm not ill anymore, and that it's not going to flatten me for weeks and weeks. So it's quite nice. It's a no pressure race. And there's some things actually, despite having been ill, like I've had probably the best strength block that I've ever had in my life. I've always struggled with getting the consistency with strength, and I've been working with strength for endurance in Bath, and they've been brilliant. And I feel like that's actually started to, despite not being cardiovascularly fit, I'm putting down some pretty good watts on the bike just from being a stronger athlete.
Got you.
So that will be it will be quite a good test actually, because I know I haven't had a great block of training behind me to put to the test in a race, but it will be interesting to see how much strength plays a part for power on the bike. And yeah, it will be fun to just start because I've always started my season in January, and we're in May and I still haven't raced.
So your head's saying to you, oh, panic.
Yeah, I might regret it when I'm midway into the bike and I'm blowing up. But I just feel like I'm a full-time athlete and it's May and I haven't raced, so I just want to get out there and put my race kit on and see where I am
and have some fun. And which race is it you're doing?
It's Challenge Lisboa.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know who's racing it actually, but that's next weekend. So
you should have it's always nice weather for that race, it looks like. So mind you, I'll just have cursed it having said that.
If it's raining, I'm going to blame you.
It's funny, as you've said that, we've just had a massive clap of thunder out the window here, and it's booting down. So yeah.
Oh God, I've got to go out and test my race wheels in a minute, so that's going to be fun if it's raining.
Right, let's talk kit and bikes and stuff, because you're being very humble. I was trying to lead you down a path by asking you what you thought your strength was, and obviously you are from a running background. And I was having a look. Right, you've had 2 or 3 races in a row where you've gone like 3 hours flat and a few seconds. Have you ever been under 3 hours in a race yet?
No.
Oh, what was it? 3 hours and 3 seconds you did somewhere?
I don't. Yeah, I think I did 3 hours and 1 second in Argentina, and I didn't know. And Rob was like, "You were showboating over the bloody finish line," and meanwhile the clock was ticking over 3 hours. But yeah, Argentina would have been a good one to do it because it's quite a flat course, but it was so windy. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Argentina won't be so windy this year, and I'll go, because I think really now 3 hours isn't really that impressive in the women's race. I think you've got to be running, like, to be one of the better runners, 2:55, even 2:50. So I've got some improvements to make in my run if I want to be competitive on the run. Do you know
what? If we tell you you've just run 2:59 and you're saying you want to get to 2:55, it's only a small gap. It's like there's something about like that clock ticking over, isn't there, that makes you go,
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do think it's possible. Like I do think I'm the caliber of runner to run that.
No question. Yeah.
I just haven't. I hate it when people say this. I haven't put it together in a race. I feel like I've biked to my ability, but I haven't yet run to my ability.
Yeah.
So I would like to do that this year. I said that last year, but I didn't. I mean, it doesn't help that I always do South Africa. My sort of 2 core races that I seem to do every year are South Africa and Kona, and neither of them are really fast run courses. Apart from this year, South Africa was, but apparently it was 40.5 Ks. So really
is that right? Good bit of goss there.
Yeah.
Well, listen. The thing is, obviously, I know your bike coach, Matt Bottrill, and we've had a chat.
Yeah.
We were chatting the other day, and he said to me, of all the bike positions of the pro triathletes in the peloton, Susie Cheetham has got the best bike position. She could be the most phenomenal time trialist. And I was sitting there going, that's interesting, because we know she's a really, really good runner. All of a sudden, she's super aerodynamic and obviously super strong on the bike. So how are you feeling about your bike going forwards then? Obviously, you've had the virus and stuff, but if you've got the wind silhouette, you must have a CDA of about 0.16 or something.
Oh no, definitely not
super
that low.
slippery looking.
No, not that low.
I'm just making numbers up. I don't even know what that means.
That's pretty low. I don't think. Well, it was funny because I went away on a training camp with all of Matt Bottrill's time trialing guys.
Yeah.
And they think we're all a bunch of choppers.
Yeah.
But it's like they've got like I think Matt Bottrill's disgusted because there was one of the guys in the team that has a lower CDA than him.
Wow. And
I think his was like 0.174 or something.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I'm definitely not 1.6. But yeah, no, what is my weakness in swimming is probably my strength in biking, in the sense that I've got really little shoulders. So there's sort of, in terms of really making my frontal area small, I can really tuck in my shoulders, and there's not much sort of surface area hitting the wind.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what he was referring to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
So no, it's and obviously I saw pictures of you improving yours as well, which looks quite impressive.
it's not hard to improve an old chopper like me, that's for sure, but he did a good job of it. If he can improve me, he can improve anybody, Susie, I tell you. And obviously
it's just about being able to hold that position as well, because I've seen a lot of people that look really impressive on like when they take pictures of themselves on the turbo, but it's sort of then you see them in a race and actually they're not that aero anymore.
So do you do a lot of work then? I know just from having this session with Matt how hard it is initially to hold the position he puts you in. Do you do specific exercises to get used to your aero position, to be as aero as you are?
Yeah, I mean, to hold I think I've got room to improve as well. But yeah, he will take me through sessions that, you know, the aim of the session is to focus on being as aero as possible, and working on that position, because it is hard to hold it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all on a spectrum, isn't it? It's like being able to hold that position and also run off the bike. So it's finding the place where you can hold it comfortably enough that you're not going to get off the bike. And, you know, some of those time trial guys, they hold such a ridiculous position that it's amazing, but there's no chance they could run off the bike with that.
Yeah.
So it's finding that happy medium where you can do both.
Yeah, one of the things Matt and I talked about was how when he was doing triathlon, he would ride his sort of half Ironman bike leg in his time trial position and get off the bike, and his shoulders were just destroyed from the fact that he's holding himself down there. And I don't think I'd quite made the connection before that how much of a part that plays in time trialists going quick, and how there's got to be a kind of compromise for us triathletes who, you know, you've got to go and run 2:59.59 off the back of it, haven't you? So, or even faster, who knows?
If we're picking out numbers from the air, let's just say 2:50.
Let's say 2:49. Let's go the whole hog and have you break it. So we're going to have a great race at Kona this year, right? There's no question. It's back on the roller coaster of a good one. Who do you see? Let's talk you through your competition for the race. Who do you see you're going to be racing this year at Kona?
Oh, it's quite exciting. It's there's lots of new people, and obviously there's the podium has been pretty similar in terms of the top two for the last 2 years. So there's obviously Daniela, who, in my opinion, is just she's in another league at the moment. So it's going to take something special to beat her. I think I don't know. I'm British, so I'm I find it's interesting looking at the different cultures that come to Kona and people's attitudes towards the race, because you get some cultures that are just, it's naturally part of how they were brought up to say that they're going to win Kona next year. And
I see.
To be honest, that's not in my that's just not how I am. And I think and it's not being defeatist, but I've come sixth twice. And I think for me, the next step is to get on the podium. Yeah. And until I get on the podium, my next goal will be to get on the podium. And I can't kid myself that I'm going to win Kona next year, because I don't find it particularly motivating, because I just think then I'm kidding myself. But I do think that if I say, well, my next goal is to get on the podium, I've come sixth twice, I don't see that a jump to the podium is ridiculous. So
no, absolutely.
Where I am is that Daniela, I think, is, you know, you look at her bike split coming back from Harvey last year, there was only 3 men that were faster than her.
It was extraordinary, wasn't it?
You know, one of those men is like rides with Chris Froome and trains with Chris Froome.
Yeah.
The other one is a controversial athlete anyway. And then the third one is Joe Skipper, which I play to him. That's quite impressive. Yeah. But there was only 3 men faster than her on the way back. So in my opinion, Daniela's, particularly on the bike, that in itself shows the caliber of athlete that she is. But the advantage that I have and the mindset that I'm in is that I've come sixth twice. And I think the next obvious goal for me is to say that I want to podium. And I don't think that's unrealistic when you come sixth twice.
No, it's definitely not. When you look at the results that you had at South Africa racing Lucy Charles Barkley there.
Yeah.
You were only, I think, 2 or 3 minutes down on her bike time there, and then you outran her by 5 minutes. So you've obviously said, your way of measuring your bike power at Kona last time was less than optimal for having a decent result.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe we know you're super aerodynamic. We know that your bike split is going to be somewhere in the range of what Lucy's riding. So that would probably put you about 10 minutes faster than you rode last year. So all of a sudden you're right up there in the hunt, and with your sub 3 hour run pedigree, you're definitely in the category of being able to sort of race for the podium slots there, aren't you?
Yeah, so that's my goal, and I don't think you can pick anyone out for being. There's so many competitive women that I don't know if I can pick out specifics. Obviously, there's Daniela, there's Lucy, Sarah Crowley, there's Anne Haug, there's Sarah True. This year I think Laura Phillips is going to be really competitive.
Yeah.
She's probably one of the best runners in the sport, probably behind Anne Haug, and around like similar to sort of Sarah True. They're really pushing the run splits at the moment, so there's plenty of competition. I think the goal, as always, is to just get to Kona in the best possible shape and work on my weaknesses and try and begin to minimize those deficits in some of the places where I've had weaknesses in the past.
And where has that been, do you think? What's the big thing that you're working on at the moment to try and help close that gap a little bit?
Strength, as I mentioned earlier, I've been working quite a lot on my strength, both for the all body, but in the past I've sort of done strength for basic sort of trying to avoid injury. Now I'm sort of looking at more as a performance game. And there's obviously the most obvious deficit is in my swim. We've been trying to work on being stronger in my upper body, stronger in my lats, to try and work on a more powerful swim stroke. And that's been quite a focus recently. So we'll see how that goes. It's I have made some improvements in some areas. And then then the other things are just small marginal, I hate this word, but marginal gains across all three. I mean, there's always things that you can be looking at, and the problem with the better you get, the smaller those gains are to be made. But there are always elements that we're pushing and looking for gains to be made. So yeah, it's exciting. That's what's amazing about triathlon. It's such an exciting sport because there's so much that goes into it. Like I train with India Lee here in Bath, and she's stepping up to 70.3 distance, and I think she's going to be really good.
Okay.
If you haven't had her on the show, you should. She's going to be really good.
Hook us up. Email address after the show.
Yeah. So she's been. I used to run with her when we were kids, and then didn't see her for years, and she started doing ITU distance, and she was European champion, and really good caliber. But within the ITU, she would say herself that she was she struggled to make that front pack on the swim, and she was always chasing on the bike, and her bike's really strong and her run's really strong, but it never really showed her strengths, because by the time she had biked up to the front pack, she was knackered.
Yeah.
So I've forgotten why I was even talking about this. Oh yeah, the reason I'm saying is she's racing this weekend in Aix-en-Provence, and I just watching how, she's obviously starting long course, and she's taken to it really quickly, and I think she's already won 70.3 Weymouth, and I think she could potentially win the race this weekend. But there's so much more to the race than swim, bike, and run, and it's about trying to keep your stress down in race week when you're sort of traveling. Just small hacks at how to get to the race and get to the start line in the best possible shape without being stressed and missing a meal or missing a night's sleep because you're stressed, or there's so much more to it than just the race itself.
Got you.
I went off on a bit of a waffle there.
No, not at all. Because I think that's,
cut that bit out.
That's really interesting, because I think everyone listening has experienced that. You go to a race and it's the stress of the 24, 48 hours beforehand can be phenomenal. What are a couple of the things that you do then to help? I mean, you must have raced more than anybody and have been through this dozens of times to mitigate those stresses. Are any things we can pick up from you that would help people?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just experience and knowing that you don't need to be stressed. And, I think that's why I mentioned Indy, because it's her second race and it's her first time sort of going away with, on your own. You don't have like British Triathlon behind you.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's just anything you can do to keep your stress levels down, whether that's like having someone to help you, even if you pay for someone's trip to come out with you, to drive you around the race course, to go and get your shopping, to a lot of people have like a partner that will be happy to do that, but if you don't, it might be worth paying for your friend's trip to come and do that for you, because the amount of stress that takes off you is invaluable. Traveling with spare food so you don't skip a meal because there's only Burger King in the departure lounge or something like that.
That's a big one, isn't it? Yeah.
You don't really want a Burger King before you're going to race.
No.
However much you might enjoy it, it's not the best race nutrition. Yeah.
Okay, and then what are the races that you've got lined up for the rest of the year between sort of after you've raced in Lisbon?
Yeah, so I think I want to see how Lisbon's going to go. But I think after that, I'm going to do 70.3 European champs in, I can't pronounce it, but it's in Denmark. I can't pronounce the town that it's in. Do you know it? Or
no, I can't say it either. Helen's the one for pronunciations. Don't put me on the spot, Susie. Come on.
I'll just embarrass myself. So the European 70.3 championships I plan to do. And then after that, I'll be focusing on Ironman Hamburg.
Okay.
Which will be sort of like my main Ironman going sort of before Kona. And then after that, what did we decide to do? I haven't got my list in front of me. I can't remember the 70.3s I said I was going to do between Hamburg and Kona, but I think there's a couple of 70.3s.
And you've got your slot already, I assume, from Argentina.
Yes, yeah. So I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
I think the other 70.3s was something like Finland, and then I think Finland's at the same time as European champs. So I think it might have been Sweden or something.
Okay.
And then roll into Kona, and then definitely Kona, definitely Argentina. Again in December. I'd quite like to go back to challenge Sardinia, which is 2 weeks after Kona. Especially if I'm going to be racing into December. I quite like that race. So
did you win that a couple of years ago? I
did. And
a couple of
it's
times.
Quite a nice low-key race. It almost feels just like a bonus race. It's quite relaxed and
bit of an end of season holiday with a race attached kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like there's not much you can do in between, especially with all the travel. There's not much you can do in between Kona and that. So it's sort of just like it's just a fun race, and it sort of will kickstart me into a good block of training before Argentina as well.
Nice, good stuff.
Yeah, so that's the plan at the moment.
Good. And then just finally, look, who are the people who've helped you out over the past few years in terms of your sponsors and your coaches and stuff? Give a shout out to them, because they're often the unsung heroes, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Cervelo stuck by me for pretty much my whole career now, and I'm really grateful to be on that bike, because it's genuinely the bike I would choose if I wasn't sponsored by them. Then recently I've been running in Hoka's, which is really exciting. They're innovating quite a lot. They've just launched a new carbon shoe, which has sort of moved on from the previous one as well. And then I also work with Endura, which is, for me, just amazing, because their kit is just super aero, and
those suits are so nice, aren't they?
Oh, they're amazing, and they're I love the company as well. It's like Jim set up the company from nothing. He started making cycling shorts on his kitchen table, and sort of him and his wife have taken it to where it is today.
Yeah.
And I think I was saying to you before we started chatting, I just really admire people like that. So someone that's created something from something that wasn't even there before. Same as I work with Head as well, and Anne Head, and what she's done since Steve died, and before as well. Like, she's such an incredible person. I love working with brands like that, because I almost hero worship anyone that can start a business from nothing and create that value from nothing.
It does seem like you're a very sort of values driven person, and the people behind the brand are as important to you as the products themselves is. And you're not an athlete who'll jump from brand to brand each year, sort of dependent on a better contract or whatever.
I really like to I like to develop relationships with my sponsors, and I do feel like they're part of the team, and like all of the sponsors that I work with genuinely want me to do well and want to evolve their products to make me go faster, and I really value that. And if that means that when I finish my career, I'm a happier athlete when I know that all the people that I work with are genuine and really looking out for me. And that goes for working with coaches as well. I know Matt Bottrill, my bike coach, like he pours everything into making all of his athletes go as fast as possible, and like he loves it. He does it for the love of it, and he takes the bad days as hard as we do, and he then loves the success as well, and he deserves the success when his athletes do well, because he pours so much into it. I put that across sponsors and the people that I work with.
Nice. Oh, well, I think that's a really nice place to leave it. And we absolutely would like to have you back on, please.
in 2 years.
Oh no! Come back on sooner than that.
Let's not make it 2 years.
Let's not make it 2 years. Let's get it back in either after Kona or after Argentina, and get you back on again.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, good. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Rob. I'm going to try and beat the rain now.
See you soon. Good stuff there, Hells. I hope Susie is back into her sort of 2-yearly cycle of having an awesome race in Kona. It looks like it should be a good one for her again this year. Gutted that she steps on glass this weekend. That's a nightmare, isn't it?
Honestly, yeah. Oh, wait, it's not what you want, is it, before a race?
No, it is not at all.
It just looks really sore. So, yeah.
Bless. Okay, so sponsors time. Massive thanks to our sponsors, Precision Hydration. They sponsored our interview section. Really great to get yourself sorted out with a sweat test. As we're coming into race season, if you go online, you can take that online sweat test, which will give you, just by answering some simple questions, a good guide as to whether you're a particularly heavy or a particularly salty sweater. If it does point to that, then what it says to you is you need to take care of your electrolytes, because they are key in keeping your muscles firing correctly during your long distance races. And also a lot of research thinks they're key in preventing cramps later on in the day. So they make electrolytes in different strengths. So rather than just having a standard electrolyte drink, you can get it in 250 milligram sachets all the way through to 1500 milligram sachets, which is about 6 times stronger than the average sports drink. So if you are a particularly heavy or salty sweater like I am, that's really going to help you maintain your electrolyte balance. And especially if you're racing in hot conditions this coming summer, it's essential to be getting some electrolytes in. So don't leave it to chance. Hells, I spoke to so many athletes this weekend who came up and said, like, I'm so glad that you guys have put us onto the idea of taking care of electrolytes, because I was drinking loads during my Ironman, and then I fell apart on the run and I felt really, really ill and queasy. And I'd either forgotten my salt tablets, I'd left them in T2, I dropped them on the road. I think that was the thing that made me fall apart. So getting some of that in your drinks bottles beforehand goes a long way to sort of staving off the fact you're going to lose loads of them as you sweat during your race.
That's the other thing that's going in the bag, Rob, for Sardinia.
Oh yeah, you're going to need tons of that when it's out in the heat, isn't it? Don't you?
Yep, definitely. So that will be going in the saddle bag.
How long have you guys got before you head out into the heat of Sardinia?
About 2 weeks. 2 weeks today. Tomorrow. 2 weeks tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm so excited.
No one's jealous at all, Hells. No one's jealous about you heading off your hollybobs.
I cannot wait.
Big old riding week? Is it your standard insanity? Yeah. Go on, tell us what you're going to be doing. Much.
So, we're not. When we realised quite how big Sardinia was, we're like, no, we're not going to do a whole loop of Sardinia in the time we have, because it's not enough time. We're just going to focus on a little loop in the north, basically.
How big is Sardinia then, like relative to Britain?
Rob, now that is a geographical question that I do not have the answer to at the moment.
I'm guessing it must be the best part of 1,000 miles long if you and Rich think you can't ride it in a week.
It's got 2,000 k of coastline.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, it's big. It's really big. I think you don't appreciate quite how big of a place it is. So it's the second largest island in the Mediterranean Sea.
Here we go. How's this geography update? I like this.
Yep. After Sicily and before Cyprus.
Very nice.
So it's pretty big, and it's pretty mountainous. Anyway, I will report back when we get back. When we return from our
You'll
trip.
come back with super strong bike legs ahead of your. It's Chumley Castle you're going to go and race, isn't it?
Correct.
Chumley Half.
Correct.
Love
so
it.
It's all happening. It's all literally, it's all happening in the space of 6 weeks?
Nice.
Yeah. Then I think my 2019 triathlon season's probably done.
Love it. I'm going to head out and race while you're away. I'm going to go and do Epic Man in the Lake District. One of my buddies is doing it, Andy. And he said, come and do it with me. So I'm going to put my name down and go and have a little slog around that, which should be fun. Looks like
fantastic.
It's going to be super hilly bike leg, so I'll be in all kinds of trouble there.
That'll be really cool. Yeah, did I tell you I've entered the Warrington? We spoke about that last week, didn't we? Warrington Way.
Yeah. You lunatic.
So a bit of triathlon, and then we're going to go back to running for a few months.
Nice. All right, so how about this for a bit of triathlon news? I was chatting with somebody and I said to them, it was at the race briefing before the Outlaw Half, and I was sort of saying, look, forget about the time of this, just, make it process-based thing. Control what you can control, the usual stuff. Concentrate on good sighting, concentrate on staying relaxed. And the person said, I really want to swim at whatever it was, 31 minutes. And I said to her, well, what if they did this event and no one was timing you? What would you do then? And she was like, oh no, that'd be awful. I wouldn't even be here. But I love the idea of an event where it's not timed, where you just go out and you do stuff, just for fun with your mates. And almost on cue, an email comes through from the organisers of the Castle to Coast Sportive Triathlon, which is going to be happening. So they're taking like a non-timed approach to it. It's going to be a sportive one where you start where you like, you ride with your mates. They're going to do the swim at Windsor. You're going to ride from Windsor to down near Brighton, and then finish the run across the Downs down to Brighton, which sounds awesome.
I looked at the video. It looks great.
It looks ace,
honestly, yeah. I was watching it thinking, if it wasn't kind of on the south coast, so it wasn't quite so far away, that would be. Or if I wanted to make a weekend of it, fine. But this summer, no weekend, no time. But I was just like, yeah, that would really appeal to me.
Sounds like a great fun training day, doesn't it? Where like they've taken care of you, can get a bus backs included in one of the entry packages that they do, and it's like fair play to them. I think it's something a little bit different. Saturday the 10th of August, if people are looking for something to do during the summer months, I think that'd be a fun day out.
Honestly, I like the look of, like, it looks like a sort of challenging, tough run, but you've obviously got to ride to the start of the run, and yeah, you can do it with your pals and just taking away that time. That was what I really liked yesterday about that 10K in Lime Park. There was you could have your own watch, but no one was timing it. It didn't really matter what you did.
Exactly.
So you could just do it for the love of it again.
Get out and give it a bit, eh?
Yes. So full steam, castle to coast, sportive triathlon.
All right then, so coming up this weekend, big weekend of racing. We've got Ironman Brazil and we've also got Ironman Lanzarote. So racing down in Brazil, Hells. It looks like Tim O'Donnell's dropped out. We've mentioned already Will Clark's out there and he's out there going to give it the big guns. He's got Andy Potts to race against, Igor Amorelli, Cyril Viennot. So some good racing going to happen down there. Again, fast course where Tim Don set that world record a couple of years back. And I'm going to be really interested to see how Will goes on this, because obviously he is in absolutely amazing shape. So pity the fool who's got to race Will Clark. Over on the ladies' side, we've got Sarah Piampiano racing. She looks like pretty clear favourite ahead of Bruna Marn of Brazil, and there's lots of other Brazilians racing down there as well, so be interesting to see how she gets on. Down in Ironman Lanzarote, now I've heard rumours it might be the last Ironman Lanzarote. I don't know whether that's confirmed or not. Have you heard that too?
I heard that rumour somewhere or read it somewhere, but apparently they say that quite a lot.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So they've had to change the bike course a bit from the classic bike course. It looks like there's now going to be a kind of, it doesn't drop down and go past La Santa and up that long draggy climb anymore.
Oh.
So they end up doing, that climb that does, well, I say climb, it's a long drag, isn't it, up from Famara up to the roundabout. So they don't do that bit anymore. They go straight on and up through Tegizi, and then somehow on the back end of the course, like how nasty is this? They drop down to Famara like an out and back dog leg to make up the distance. Oh. Yeah. So I don't know why that's been changed like that, but that is going to be absolutely brutal at the back end of that. It's like another thing you can do without, isn't it? When you're almost within sight of the finish.
Oh, that'll be fun. I might have to do a little bit of research, Rob, to find out about whether it's the last one.
Some big names racing on down there. We've got Freddie Van Leerd is racing, Alessandro De Gasperi. How do you pronounce that, Els?
De Gasperi, isn't it?
There you go. Thank you. Clemente Alonso McKernan, Ivan Rana, Andreas Raylert. So some big Guilherme Molinari. I'm having a nightmare with the pronunciation today.
It's a Monday morning, don't worry.
No, really.
Honestly, Rob, it's still like, we did hit record at 7 a.m. It's still, the brain's getting
not that early,
gear.
Is it? Most people are at work. That's not an excuse.
No, but you're not necessarily always talking and being kind of on it at this time. Even if you are at work, it does take a little bit of time to get into your stride. When we hit record to begin with, I was mid gulping my second mug of tea down. So, you're allowed to be a bit dodgy with names on Monday morning.
That's kind of
Yeah.
On the ladies' side, we've got Emma Pallant. Torsten's given her the nod for being the race favourite. We've got Asa Lundstrom, Nikki Bartlett, Rachel McBride, Didi Griesbauer's racing. So it'll be interesting to see whether Emma and Nikki can go head to head on the run for this one.
Yeah. After last weekend.
Yeah. Be good to see how they go.
It will be.
All right, let's wrap this up, Hells. Hope everyone's had a great, safe and racing weekend this weekend. It was great to meet so many people down at the Outlaw Half in Nottingham. And until next week, you have been listening to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. I'm Coach Rob Wilby.
I'm Helen Murray.
And best of luck to all of you. Get out in the sun and enjoy some lovely spring, early summer training. We'll speak to you all again soon. Take it easy, everybody. We'll speak to you again. See ya.